sang this song to me. There was a message in its melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. Tomorrow is another day. Living is the only way tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be
Welcome to A Sip of Inspiration. I am Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, known as the Empowerment Doctor. And I want to thank all of you for being here tonight, no matter how you got here tonight. Because I know some of you guys are missing me on Facebook, but my Facebook page was hacked. Okay, so I'm sending wonderful healing vibrations to those people and hoping that they learn something when they go through my content. So joining me today, as you all know, I really, really enjoy anything and any conversation about healing frequencies. So today I have with me Mark L. Fox, and we're going to talk about resonant frequency therapy. You got that? So right there. Before we get started, you all know that I have to do my housekeeping. So if you are watching this live tonight, you're watching it on YouTube. It will be on YouTube, but you know that after this, it will be on every platform, so you can go and watch it, and feel free to ask questions and anything you want. I'll be sure that they get marked and answered. Also, my website is champagneconnection.com. If you go there, you're going to see a lot of merchandise, so feel free to purchase any, or you can just kind of look around and have some fun, because all of the other podcasts are on that website too. So I want to thank you guys for joining us, and I am now going to introduce Mark. I have a fantastic bio. You know, I love, y'all know I love great bios, right? So here's one. So Mark is the founder and CEO of Resonance Health. He's an entrepreneur, a scientist, an engineer, an author, a creative thinking consultant. He actually did crop formation. He was a crop formation researcher. And I thought that was interesting. And listen to this. He was a Space Shuttle Chief Engineer. We're talking about somebody that's done a lot of stuff, along with some of the fun stuff like a hot air balloonist for 35 years. And he even built his own airplane. I tell you, you're either really excited about doing things or he's really talented. So I think that this is really cool. Today is the inventor of VIBE, VIBE, which is the world's only pocket pulsed electromagnetic field device. So I've heard a lot about these devices, but I'm reading from his bio now. It says the frequencies are extremely low energy and safe. So let's repeat that. Extremely low energy and safe, because some people are really worried about that. But this one is low energy again and safe. So that they operate about 100,000 times less than your cell phone. I think that is fantastic. The participant would also wear a PEMF device around the neck with a lanyard. That's kind of cool. Or you could place it in your pocket like I would like to do. And you can do this while watching television, reading, walking, cooking, and anything else that you need to do. I tell you, this sounds like it's just so convenient to even carry, as opposed to some of the ones that we have been exposed to. So thank you, Mark, for being here with me. And thank you for all of this. I love this. You have really, really, really brought something to the world that I think that we need, which is frequency therapy. And I know that it's not a new concept, but one that you can use so easily is actually very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at getting a little bit of audio feedback, is that me? Okay, but if you look at magnetic therapy, or back up a little bit, here's how I like to explain it to people. Nothing in the world happens without an energy exchange. So you can't cook food, make s'mores in a campfire. You can't digest food. You can't breathe oxygen. You can't fall down stairs and break your leg. You can't do any of that without energy exchange. So if you look at it that way, and the cells in your body have a voltage on like a car battery. And when that voltage gets low, you get sick. So it recharges your cells, batteries, one thing, and it increases ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the fuel for your cells. But if you think about just energy transfer, think of the best one we got. It's called the sunshine, right? It's sunshine. Okay. It's got the whole magnetic spectrum. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it you can't live without. So you could transfer frequencies and energy with light, sound, electrical current, vibration. What I miss? And PEMF. Okay, the magnetic one. So, and magnetic therapy has been around since 350 BC or something. It's only in the last 100 years or so that it's been shown that pulse electromagnetic fields are more therapeutic. And people immediately kind of go, it's kind of voodoo. If your audience is familiar with it or not, but the average person in the street is going to go, yeah. Well, the Earth has a heartbeat, and it's a pulse electromagnetic field that you're surrounded with. And it's likely nothing could live on the planet without it. It's the energy that you need. So it's not woo-woo from that standpoint. It's just got more focus in the last several decades to tune into certain frequencies and do certain things. But yeah, they're extremely low energy. You mentioned that. The way I start people with is 10 to the 12th power, right? 12 zeros. That's an X-ray that you're getting at the dentist. That's why you have a lead apron on, because it is ionizing high energy. You come back to a cell phone. You said 100,000. It's actually, cell phone's 1,000,000 times higher frequency.
Oh, wow.
Your TV is about 100,000, and then pretty much every appliance in your house is higher than 1 to 1,000. So I get asked that all the time: is what's PMF versus EMF, right? Which one? Why is one good, one bad? They're both light. They're both in the light electromagnetic spectrum. It's just what I described. Very, 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 very low energy, 1 to 1,000. 1,000 sounds like a lot, but on the scale, it's actually 0, right? If you go from 10 to the 12th power down to 10 to the 1 power, right, or 2 power, 3 power, 1,000 range, you can barely see that on the graph. So that's what it is. It's an energy exchange, and it's fine tuning that to resonate with certain parts of your body. That's kind of how it works in a nutshell: is recharging your cells' batteries and increasing food for the cells.
How did you get interested in this? How did this catch your eye?
My dog couldn't come up the stairs 25 years ago. She just started crying. So I'm like, okay. So me and my wife flipped a coin. Who's not going to work today? Because she's never done that before. So we took her to my veterinarian, and they gave her x-rays, and she had, this is her right here, 25 years ago.
Oh.
So she had severe arthritis in her spine, which was awful. And the veterinarian's like, there's not a lot you can do for her. Give her some Rimadyl, those type of things. But I had a friend who's his name's Dr. Oz Jackson. He's a super forward-thinking veterinarian. He goes, hey, there's this lady that has this magic machine that does frequencies, and it can reverse arthritis. So we got ready to take her up there. I lived in Utah at the time. She was in Oregon, and she got too sick too fast, so we didn't get to take her, sadly. But it got me interested. It's like, really? Now, I'm a rocket scientist, so I don't believe any of this frequency stuff. It can't be real. It's all voodoo, woo, right? So I started to dive into it and learn it, and I'm like, there's something here. There's a lot of studies out there. Just started playing with it. So I just kind of kicked it around and kept, kind of like crop formations. I didn't obsess with it, but it's just in the background of something I'm studying and reading. And then probably 7 years ago, maybe 8 now, is I just dove into it a lot harder. And then I started to learn how high the success rate was for PTSD.
Oh,
and
wow.
The 44 suicides a day, right? 22 vets, military vets, 15 first responders, 5 medical workers, 2 active duty. That's not counting all the civilians. So there's 44 a day. And I'm like, this is wrong, that this technology is expensive and it's kind of held hostage in a clinical environment. How do we make, as you said earlier, an affordable one that's therapy on the go? So I'm a chemical engineer. I'm not an electrical engineer, but I'm granting myself an electrical engineering degree after this project, because piles of coils over here, things catching on fire. It's like, so it's trying to find something that actually worked, that was affordable, that's lightweight and all that. Finally, what it actually is, Stephanie, I went round circle, round circle. It's actually a music player. It's an MP3 player, and I took the speakers out and put in copper coils. So all the files are actually songs. They're all MP3s. So it's playing a song through the coil. You just don't hear it because it doesn't have a speaker. It creates this magnetic wave. So I created the protocols on a music synthesizer, and I'm not a musician. I wish I could play something. I can't play anything. It really frustrates me. Nothing, right? But it's a music synthesizer, and I put the frequencies in there and built the protocols.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a music player. I'm dubbing myself as an energy composer, right? It is music. It's just not your ear listening to it. It's your body listening to it. Now, you can actually listen to them, and I've had people do that, which will drive most people crazy because it's going to go, right? It's going to drive you nuts. But I actually took that frequency and put it with meditation music at 20% volume so you can tolerate it and it's comfortable. So, yeah, you can listen to it. You can feel it. And for years, people are like, you're nuts. So if you don't know, your listeners don't know this, is MIT discovered by accident that you can reverse Alzheimer's and plaque in the brain with 40 hertz light. So you flicker light at 40 hertz. And this makes me feel really good because I'm just a dumb rocket scientist. I got to school at MIT, PhD, MD, guy that ran the study. He goes, your device, it's 1 to 1,000 hertz. You can't see anything over 60 hertz, 50 hertz. It can't work. And I'm like, hey, you didn't tape the rat's eyes open in the box and they still got the energy. How did they get the energy? He goes, we never figured that out. He goes, you never figured it out. So I told that story to a very good friend of mine who's probably one of the top pediatric radiologists in the country. Her name's Dr. Lori Barr. And she goes, hey, Mark, they discovered in 2001 that your skin has light receptors just like your eyes.
Yes.
I went back to this MIT guy, go, hey, your skin, this is how it's getting in there. You just light receptors. He goes, no, there's not. And I sent him all the paperwork and research, and he goes, are you kidding me? So that's how the light part's getting in there. So you can do it a bunch of different ways, but that's how I got involved in it and just wanted to make something affordable that people could use. And like I said, probably the spearhead of that was the PTSD. I have my own PTSD from listening to customers. I mean, no, I do. I mean, I've got people that are suicidal that aren't. I've got women that have been raped and kidnapped.
Oh.
Awful, awful, awful stuff where this has really helped them, and it's like, so that emotional part of it is, I mean, I had 3 or 4 today where you just got to get through that email or that call. And you're like, I don't want to go dark there because there's so many of those that were just awful things that have happened to people that it's saved them, and still me being the rocket scientist is like, magic. It is magic. But when the doctors, don't take offense, but when doctors go, what's the mechanism of action? Explain it exactly. I'm like, you don't know how aspirin works either. You got a theory, but you don't know how any drug in the world works. You just think you do. You have a theory, but you haven't proven it, right? So my goal has been relief before reason. If it's not hurting people and it's helping them, you don't have to figure out the mechanism. You probably can't because it's so complex inside the body. So I just kind of stick with that as relief before reason. Like I said, that don't hurt anybody. It's been my number 1 goal. Number 2 is I don't want to sell voodoo. I'm a rocket scientist, so I'm spending forever trying to run enough studies that I can stand up in front of people and argue P factors, because all you doctors do statistics backwards from anyone else in the world. It's the only one that has P factors. Everyone else has reliability numbers and confidence levels, right? But doctors do P factors backwards for some reason. Anyway, so definitely with PTSD, I think, and I may get beat up for this, I think I have the largest PTSD study with PEMF in the world. I've got a sample size of like 250 people now.
Okay, that's fantastic.
It's 95 to 98% success rate, which is super cool. Hard to believe, but it's cool.
I'm surprised that you're getting so much pushback, because when you think about frequencies in the metaphysical world, they've been doing that with yoga and frequencies for years, decades now, and actually getting great results. So you think at this point that, I guess, the doctors or the medical world would be at least used to the idea that it can work because it has been working.
True. And you know this being a doctor is like, so many of the doctors are like, I'm going to do what the American Medical Association says I can do and not think outside that box, right? I've done that to my doctor and taken research to her, and she's like, I'm not going to read that. I'm like, why? So that, and then not just doctors, but the general public. So when everyone thinks it's voodoo and a scam, I wrote an article a couple months ago that says the top 100 scams of all time. And I listed anesthesia, stem cells, DNA sequencing, right? You just go down the whole list of stuff that was absolutely positively impossible until it wasn't. And if anyone is listening everyone knows what MRI is. They do millions a year. If anyone spent 10 minutes researching how an MRI works, it's the most bizarre, magical, complex machine. And I'm a rocket scientist. It's way, way more confusing than a rocket. There's like 9 magical things that are happening at the same time that should not actually work, but they do. So I think that's where this technology is at. It's getting more and more traction. If you go man on the street with a microphone and go, hey, have you ever heard of PEMF? 1 out of 20 is going to say yes. They know of a beamer mat or something from their chiropractor, or some of them have one. 19 out of 20 and go, no. But there's more and more every day that are learning about it, right? Mm-hmm. And everyone hates drugs, and most everyone hates drugs and side effects and stuff from their medications, and especially Oxycontin and all those awful things where they're super addictive. So there's more and more people trying it. And I had to explain this to my marketing team today is, what's your avatar? Well, there's a couple of them. One, people that are hurting physically or mentally or both, and they can't find relief anywhere else. So they go seeking something different, right? Mm-hmm. And those are the people who are still skeptical. That's why we have a money back guarantee. If it doesn't work, I don't want anyone to ever have it if it didn't work for you. Now, this is going to offend some people listening, but the other avatar is if you got an amorous crystal, incense, voodoo dolls, and EMF blockers, and that's an easy sell. People are already like, give it to me. I'm already in that camp. That one's a lot easier. The third group is doctors, like you just said, that have never been exposed to it, and they just haven't been trained on it, right? Just like not being trained on nutrition, right? Those type of things. So what normally happens, it'll be something like this. A patient goes into the doctor and the doctor goes, hey, your A1C is 5.2 and your blood sugar looks great. So you finally started dieting and you finally did what I told you to do. And they go, no. Well, what'd you do different? I started using this thing. They snatch it out of their hands and then they call me the next day. What is this thing? Like, it's magic, right? And then I have to start explaining them, but that's picking up really, really fast. It's taking a long time to get that train moving, but I have more and more wholesalers now. I'm getting a couple a day of people that are doctors and DOs and chiropractors, mm-hmm. and spa owners, wellness centers, those type of things, because they're seeing it working. That part's exciting. Yeah.
So when you use it, it sounds like it's really simple. So how would one use this when they decide they want to have that?
So to be clear, it's not a diagnostic tool at all. It's a therapy tool. So It's not going to analyze you and do anything. So that's always sometimes confusing. You're gonna do the analysis yourself. What do you think you have? I think I have ADHD or whatever. What do I got on there? Anti-aging. You hit play, and you're gonna put it in your pocket, pants pocket. You wear a lanyard around your neck like that, and I have given up trying to tell women not to do this anymore because I've got outvoted, was you put it in your bra. So I got more and more women to go, no, I'm just stick it in my bra. It's a lot easier to do that. I'm like, okay. So they just take that and they just go stick it in their bra. So you can do it any of those 3 ways. The closer it is to you, the better. It needs to be not on the skin, but it needs to be like that on you, because the magnetic field just doesn't travel that far. Magnetic fields don't. Okay. So, but that's it. It's therapy on the go. I put it in my pocket. I actually, usually when I'm running a protocol, I forget I'm doing it until I go to reach for my cell phone and I pull this out instead. And I go, oh, that's right. I was running relax and balance or whatever I was running, right? It's like you just like that. It has a little timer on it and it's going to run however long that protocol is. And they range about 40 minutes in length. The shortest is 30. The longest is 2.5 hours. Things like PTSD are super complex. There's like 76 frequency pairs it's got to go through. So that one's long. Flu, shingles, and cold, because they're viruses. Again, the energy is super, super low. So it takes a lot longer exposure to have any effect with a virus. So when people contact me normally about viruses, I said, go get a Rife Spooky 2 machine, or especially if they call about cancer. I'm like, nope, I don't do cancer at all, except side effects of cancer, right? Which is depression, anxiety for you and everyone in your family or friends that are in your circle, right? So that's how you do it. It's therapy on the go, in your pocket.
So can you share a success story that you didn't think, that the person didn't think was going to actually be healed by it?
Lots.
No names, of course. We're going to change the names to protect the innocent.
His name is Bill. So I've known him since kindergarten. He was sitting right over here, and I gave him one. This is 6 months ago, and then 4 months ago, he goes, "I ran the prostate protocol. Are you kidding me? This is my whole night just completely changed. I'm not sitting on the toilet peeing anymore. I actually have a stream on and on." I'm like, "Dude, are you just now using it? I gave it to you a couple months ago." He's like, "Yeah, I just now took it out of the box." Got another friend that did that, has severe asthma. Same thing. He didn't use it for 2 months when I gave it to him. He called me from the airport one morning and goes, "Are you kidding me?" And he just starts, "I haven't breathed like this since I was 18 years old." I'm like, "Are you just now using it?" So it won't work if you don't use it. So we'll start with that, which is probably the number one problem, right? There's those. One I'm most, PTSD, obviously very excited about. Anxiety is the number one ailment in human beings on the planet Earth in every culture. So, and it has a big success help with anxiety. I'm really excited about blood sugar, and I'm going to get in trouble for this. We can edit this part out, but it really frustrates me that the American Diabetes Association has plastered all over their website, "It's not curable and you can't do anything about it." And it's like, yeah, you can pretty much not eat breakfast and just fast for 18 hours, and it's going to make a difference for most people, right? But it's the blood sugar that's been coming down is, I've had people 220 and they drop to 120, and it's the insulin resistance protocol. So that stuff's really exciting. I'm trying to do again, I'm going to get in trouble because I'm talking to a doctor, but doctors, trying to do studies with doctors, they suck. You give them the devices, they never finish the study. I've got 4 different studies going on for 2 years, and I can't get any data out of these people. They're too busy with patients or whatever. So I almost have to do my own, or through a third party that I'm not paying, but so far the ones I've done are through my own because I can't get the data back. I'll take that back. She's not a doctor, she's a nurse, so this one might work. I've been asked for 6 months, "Do you have something for Lyme disease?" I'm like, no. And I started getting asked it so much, I didn't know it was that big a deal. Apparently, Lyme disease is a big deal. There's a lot of people with it, and it's awful. So thank God I've never had it. I didn't really know anything about it, but I did the research. I found some studies for Lyme disease, which frequencies to use, and we're doing a study on that right now. And so that one's a little interesting because the Lyme little guy, he's a clever little dude. He hides inside the cell and does weird things and proteins, and he's hard to kill. And then when you do kill him, he poisons you. So you got to be very careful that people don't jump right in. You got to work your way into it because it does make some people a little sick when they're starting for that reason. And there's a word for it that's named after some doctor that I'll pronounce it wrong, so I'll skip it. But yeah, anyway, that's the part that's kind of exciting. There's lots of stuff going on. So, I'll tell you one more story, just because if this doesn't raise the hair on your arms, then you're not. Okay. This is a true story. 2 years ago, a 17-year-old girl told me, "Mark, I'll never have a date in my life because I have Tourette's. So I get bullied at school all the time. Boys pick on me, girls pick on me. No guy's going to ever ask me out." She goes, "I ran the brain balancing protocol and the Tourette's disappeared." And she goes, "I have a date Saturday night." That was 2 years ago. Her Tourette's have not come back. I didn't tell her to do that. I didn't tell her to run the brain balancing protocol. That just happened to her. And I think she's engaged to the guy now. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool. I was going to ask you about success stories. So that is really, really cool. How long does it take someone to see results from the brain frequency therapy?
Yeah, for any of the protocols, and nobody likes this answer, but it's the truth. Everyone's different. But the guideline I'm going to give you is use it 3 to 4 times a week minimum for 30 days. If you don't see a result after 30 days, a couple things. One, you lied to me, you didn't use it. Okay. Or you misdiagnosed yourself wrong, that you don't have what you think you have. That happens a lot. I did it to myself when I diagnosed myself with sciatica. And I'd never had it, but all the symptoms were there. And then I realized later on, no, it's because I kicked a soccer ball too hard and I strained my muscles. I figured that out later on. So some people will see things like asthma, maybe an almost immediate thing. Allergies will almost see something quickly. PTSD as well. Anxiety sometimes takes a little longer. And sometimes it's not 100%, right? So you can not 100% anything is not 100%, but also mind over matter. If you're going in hell bent that there's no way this is going to possibly work for me, absolutely positively not. You already emailed me 22 times before you bought it, being pessimistic. I just tell people don't buy it. I mean, if you're going in with that mindset, it probably won't work because you're going to convince yourself it doesn't. But the good news is if you don't see something in 30 days, it's not going to help you, I don't think. And the number one problem besides not using it is, and keeping the power level high, is not being hydrated, because we believe it's resonating with the water in your body like a pebble in a pond, because the magnetic wave can't go all the way from your top pocket to gout in your foot, but it does. So think of a pebble in a pond, a mechanical transfer through a wave, and your skin is electrically conductive in your organs. And any alternating magnetic field is going to put out a very small electric field, so it travels that way as well. And then of course, they're not in a clinical environment. So I have people that get the relief, Stephanie, that they haven't had in 15 years. Then they run it 10 times a day. I tell them, slow down. You don't need to do that. Okay. But they don't want to go back to what they had. So like, I have one friend, his name's Mark too. He's an ex-race car driver. He's had 4 concussions. He's been on fire twice, and he's 72 years old. So I think he bought 15 of them. He's running them. He's got arthritis stuff in his socks. He's got things on his wrists. He's running sleep ones. It's like, so he's not an experiment where you go, okay, stop for a minute. And so you can't overdose with it. It can, if somebody goes, hey, it's making me tired. My first question is, how many are you running a day? The answer is like 8. Stop. Go back to 2, because your body needs time, the theory is, to take that energy and do something with it, right? And if you're just banging it constantly, but again, people are going to do what the good news is, you can't hurt yourself with it. You can make yourself tired, which could be a good thing if you do that before bed, so you're getting good sleep, right? So,
So you recommend that they only do it how many times a day? I know people, as you said, will kind of do what they want, especially when they get some relief after not having any for years.
What I said was initially it was 3 to 4 times a week. It was also every other day.
Okay.
And I was basing that on the clinical environment, where that's what the doctors were doing is you come in 12 to 16 sessions or something that hasn't done anything, it's not going to, right? Is this, we need another intervention. So that's what I based it on. But again, people are, and when I came up with that recommendation from that, I was not anticipating that every single person out there has more than one problem. And it's interesting because I'm a marketer myself, and I'm networked with a ton of top marketers. Every one of them told me, don't try and sell it to do anything except one thing. I'm like, well, okay. The average person's got 3 to 4 things wrong with them. It's like, can't sleep. I got arthritis. I've got that, right? So it's like, so they're like, nope, I'm running all 4 of those today. And so, yeah, that's the guideline I give you, 3 to 4 times a week for a month. See what happens. If you use it more than that, fine. Just when you get to, I'm too tired in the middle of the day, cut back. I tell people, like, you're running 8 different things. Which one's the worst? What causes you the most pain in your life? Okay, stick with that one and run that twice a day, maybe.
Okay.
Right, something like that.
Okay, that makes sense. At least you can get rid of the one that's causing you the most problems, and then just gradually take the others. And sometimes they'll find when the major thing is finally healing itself, other things just go away too.
So people ask me, so one of the protocols on there is called diabiological syndrome. And people go, what is that? And I go, I made it up. I'm not a doctor, but you doctors make up words. So I made up my own word. So it's DIA syndrome. It's depression, insomnia, anxiety. So it's the devil's triangle. Nobody has one of those. They got depression because they can't sleep, or they can't sleep because they have depression. They're anxious because they're depressed. But so those three things are always so I stacked them all together into one protocol.
Okay.
And I made up. It's hilarious because I've presented that before at speeches and stuff. And somebody goes, diabiological syndrome. Yeah, my dad had that. And it's like, I just start laughing. Like, I made that word up. Your dad didn't have it. But it's kind of funny. Like, well, doctors get to make it up. Why can't I do that?
So it takes people. So what has been the fastest recovery, I guess, is the question.
Hey, be careful with words like recovery, because I can't.
Well, yeah, I know it. Yeah.
I can't diagnose, treat, cure anything,
Right.
anything, recover. So,
but the fastest time people have felt relief. How about that?
1 minute.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I've had 1 minute on asthma sometimes on PTSD. They're not through the first, they immediately start to feel something.
Okay.
So this is for people and pets, dogs, cats, and horses. So we have a video that just got last week of a horse that's had asthma for years. He can't breathe at all. She puts it on. He goes, 2 seconds, and he started blinking his eyes. Then another horse came over. I've never seen this before, ever. On a video, comes over, a lady's sitting in the chair, and the horse puts its head in her lap and goes to sleep. Right, from running the arthritis protocol. So it can, I'm not trying to oversell it, but it can have that fast of a response for those that I've seen. Blood sugar is the same for not everyone, but people with continuous glucose monitors will go, hey, they'll show me their thing on their phone. How did it do this in 15 minutes? I'm not even done running it yet. I'm like, it's doing what it's doing. Most of the time, though, it's going to be a couple weeks usually before. And then, not to go down that rabbit hole, but one of the big challenges is people forget how bad they were a month before. So if you're not journaling it or doing, and PTSD is a big one, by the way, because we have 98% success rate now. 2 out of 3 are clinically and statistically significant. But almost a third of those people will tell me, yeah, I don't know if it helped me. I'm like, really? So it's the Veterans Administration PLC 5 scores, 20 questions, 0 to 4. If you're above 33, you likely have PTSD. 80 is the highest you can get. I have people, Stephanie, I get them on Zoom calls like this all the time because of that with a report card, and they go, yeah, I don't know if it really, like, you self-reported at a 72 a month ago, and now you just reported a 12. And they start crying. So I've talked to doctors, I'd like to get your opinion on this, psychiatrists, and they all go, that's just, any intervention in the world, Mark, people forget how bad they were. They don't remember 30 days ago that, and my friend who's a chiropractor I've known since kindergarten, he's like, Mark, every new patient I get, they come in on a walker, I videotape them. The next time they come in on a cane, next time they come in, they got a lap dog, and they go, see, I could always do this. He goes, you couldn't even move your elbow a month ago. So then he has to show them the video, and they're like, what? That wasn't me, right? So that's a challenge too. I've had a handful of customers tell me this thing ain't working, and they send it back and give them a refund. Then a week later, they call me back and go, it was working. So can I buy another one? I'm like, okay. So got to go through that process with them, of course, but because I'm trying to help people. And part of my sinister plan is dogs and horses I love, and hip dysplasia, dogs with their asthma, arthritis, relax and balance. You need one for 4th of July. I don't know any dog that likes fireworks, right? And the dog thing, if you think about it, there's 20 million rescue dogs in the United States that have been adopted. So they've all been in jail and they didn't do anything wrong. So how many have PTSD from being in jail? Probably a significant amount of them, right? So we did won't go in that route. We did a big study with dogs at one of the largest dog rescues, I think, in the country. There's 850 dogs. It's 2 hours south of me in Florida. And it's the biggest no-kill pound anyway that I know of. So we did a big study with dogs there too.
So when you meet a customer and they keep a journal, because I think this is a process that they would want to write something down just to remember where they were, so that they can gauge their own their own progress. Uh, what are their reactions? I mean, especially someone who didn't think that they could get any type of relief.
A couple of things. One is, I wish they would journal. Most of them will not. Here's where their journal comes from. It comes from their spouse and their kids and their friends telling them they're different.
Okay.
So, and one of the biggest ones, like ADHD, it'll be the teacher calling the parents going, you changed Jimmy's drugs. What did you change it to? Just because maybe I could tell some of the other parents, like, we didn't change his drugs. We get this little device. So most people won't journal like that. The people have like glucose monitors and stuff. Yes. People have Aura rings. I won't say too much about Aura rings at $500, but this Fitbit, and I don't have anything to do with these guys, right? But Fitbit 3, Inspire 3 is $79. So this is a good biomarker to measure progress. And you can almost simplify it is sleep. If you get longer sleep and better REM, and heart rate variability. If your heart rate variability goes up, which is good, for most people, it's not intuitive. I didn't know that when I first tried to learn that. You want your heart rate variability to actually go up to be more healthy. So you look at those two things, regardless of what condition you have or ailment, that can give you a good biomarker that things are getting better. But a lot of it is people don't realize. A lot of people will realize it themselves, but a lot of the supplements are like, well, I don't know if it's doing anything. Well, hey, I mean, these are real stories. Some guy, anxiety and depression, hadn't gone out of the house in 6 months. He doesn't go to any parties or any friends. And now they've gone to 2 parties, a birthday party, and they went on a trip to do it. And the wife's like, you wouldn't do that for 6 months, and now you're doing it. And he's like, you're right, kind of thing. So that's not the answer. That's not what you ask me, but it's the answer. It's most people aren't journaling like you want them to. They're getting feedback like, I actually do feel better until I'm doing stuff now. Or like I said, family members are telling me I'm doing better. And, you know, parents, of course, with kids with ADHD, OCD, that kind of thing is, you know, they're under a microscope constantly. Like they're mentally journaling. Is my kid better? Is my kid better? Is my kid better? Is he responding? Is he responding? That type of thing. And, or, you know, you could see in the adult world, right? What's most, you know, this survey, right? Are you more afraid of dying or speaking on stage? And more people would say, I'd rather die than speak on stage, unless you're a speaker, right? So run anxiety before you do that. So you see a lot of, in a professional environment, you see that happening a lot with, I got to give a presentation to this audience of 300 people, and I don't do that normally. So run the anxiety one for 30 minutes before you get up there. And the audience can see, and your coworkers go, hey, that was a great presentation. You weren't freaked out. So we see it.
So I would like, it would be really nice if people did journal it, because they could see they could then look back on their progress,
right,
on a daily basis. And it's amazing what that does. I mean, I keep a journal every day of all of the little great things that happen, and so that just lifts your spirits even more. So it probably would help your healing out too. So can this therapy be used in conjunction with other treatments?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you know, I'm not a doctor. I'm going to keep saying it over again. So when people ask me, can I get off my meds? You don't do anything with meds until your doctor tells you can do something. Mark did not tell you any of that. In fact, very good friend of mine, insulin resistance. He has type 2 diabetes. And he goes, yeah, you know, I was shooting 80 units a day. Now I'm down to 10. Now I quit my insulin completely. I'm like, Bert, don't you dare do that. And he goes, no, my doctor told me I can do whatever I want as long as I'm monitoring it. So I'm like, okay, but and I tell people, I don't want you to change anything. When you're doing it for 30 days, keep all the variables as close as you can to see if it's to prove to yourself it's doing something or not, right? Because like in Bert's case, he goes, I go, you had to lose weight, Bert. He's a big guy. He's like, I lost about 10 pounds, but he had to lose more than that, man. He's like, well, now, and he's got this look on his face. He goes, spit it out. He goes, well, now that my blood sugar is so low, I started eating donuts and stuff like again. I started eating sugar. All right, okay. So don't do that. So, keep all the variables the same so you can prove yourself it's doing something or not, like I said. But that's just, he goes, yeah, I started eating donuts again. I'm like, okay.
You're going to have to create a tool that stop us from these bad habits.
Well, you know what? The addiction, we have an addiction protocol. A bunch of people call me about that with addiction. I'm like, let me go look at it. So I've been doing that research for a year. We may end up doing a huge addiction. And I mean addiction like drugs, alcohol, and potato chips or donuts.
And chocolate.
Well, I had the ladies in listening will not see the humor in this, but this one guy goes, it made miracles for me. I'm going to go, what were you addicted to? He goes, cocaine and strip clubs. I go, which one cost more? He goes, I don't know. Maybe it was a tie. I'm like, okay. So that really, and like I said, I won't mention his name, but he's a quote billionaire that people are networked with. We're thinking about doing an addiction study. He may end up funding it. And so for Oxycontin mainly, and the addictive painkillers and stuff to see how well it works. But it's Resolve, 716 hertz and 362. But there's some very basic solfeggio frequencies that have shown to really help with that. And then also there's an NIH double-blind study that shows it helped with brainwave gamma. And let me mention the studies real quick, because when people say it's voodoo, there's 10,000 published papers on this PEMF technology. There's 35,000 papers in certain doctors' libraries on this, right? It's one doctor said this to me a month ago. He goes, Mark, PEMF is not on trial. If anyone thinks it's on trial, they've not done any research. It's been around a long time. It's been proven it's not on trial. Anyone that says it is, they need to. If you're old enough, old like me, in 1970s, there's a guy named Rich Hall. He's a comedian on TV, and he had a thing called sniglets. And sniglets are words that don't exist in the dictionary, but they should. And one of them was boson. Bozo and ozone mixed together. It's an invisible gas that surrounds people that stops new ideas from getting in. Right? So it's like no boson. It's like keep your mind open, give it a shot. You can't. Again, it's like the top 100 scams of all time: DNA sequencing and anesthesia and all that other stuff that weren't possible until they were.
So when they wear the device, does it restrict them from any activity?
No. In fact,
so
we have several protocols for getting in the zone for athletes and stuff, where they're doing the pregame warm-up. Yeah, you just put it in your pocket. The only thing is when you're wearing the lanyard, if you're doing stretches and jumping around, a lot of people are going to want to put it inside their shirt because it's like a badge at a conference, right? It's going to bounce around some. But no, there's no restrictions to it. And people are going to ask, can you take it on an airplane? Yes. I've purposely put 20 of these in a bin to make TSA stop me, and they still haven't. I keep waiting to say it's an MP3 player because it is, but they haven't stopped me yet. And it's funny. This guy looked at me. Where did I fly to? Dallas last month. And I put like 8 or 10 of them in the bin. And the guy goes, you need to put all your TV remotes in a separate bin. I go, the TV remotes? Okay. So I put them all in a separate bin for my shoes and my computer. And that's all he asked me. I was like, really? You're not curious why somebody's taken half a dozen TV remotes on the airplane with them? But no, they didn't ask me.
Well, I'm sure they've seen a lot of interesting things.
I was just going to say, TSA got probably seen everything in the world.
Everything in the world. And this one says that, I know, just put that in a separate bin and move on. We got people we need to watch. You're not one of them.
I'm here in Cocoa Beach at Cape Canaveral. It's now one of the largest cruise ship ports in the world. It might be the largest one now. And my friend works security there. He told me on average they collect 40 to 50 guns of people getting on the boat with ammo clips and I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Like, what are you taking that on a cruise with you? Really? So yeah, maybe my little vibe is not that. I'm not a threat to the TSA. So
it just becomes a habit. That's all. People take what they take and they forget when they have it because
right.
They don't pay attention to it. So that's how you end up in that situation. So, So it was speaking of the device and being on a boat or an ocean. That doesn't affect it, does it? Because people are cruising a lot lately.
No, I don't think it. Now, it wouldn't have any effect to that. The only thing is, I started this joke, right? So the first woman that called me said, "So what happens if I get it wet?" I go, "Don't drop it in the toilet anymore." She goes, "Are you a psychic?" I go, "No." She goes, "How do you know I dropped it in the toilet?" There's the only way you can get it wet. Okay. So I get one every 2 weeks of somebody dropping it in the toilet. Today, I got somebody run into the ocean with it in their pants. What do? I said, if you can get a blow dryer fast enough to hit it right here and drive the water out of it, it'll be okay. But yeah, it's not waterproof because these little holes right here, it does put out energy. So it's about 105 Fahrenheit. It's going to get warm, and you need to ventilate it. So that's why those vents are there. So it can't be waterproof. So, but no, you can take it. It's therapy on the go. You can take it anywhere you want. The only caution I'm glad that popped in my head. Contraindications, right? If you have a pacemaker or you're pregnant or insulin pump, something electronic in you, don't use it. Does anything ever happen? No. But everyone in the community says, don't do that, because the first deformed baby that comes out, it's going to be due to that, right? So it's like, don't do those. If you're in severe long-term chronic pain, back pain, neck pain, the first time you use it, don't be driving. Don't be operating a catapult. Don't be doing anything. Just do it on your couch until you see how your body reacts to it. Because if you're in severe pain, for some people, the pain reduces so fast that their bloodstream gets flooded with endorphins and they get drunk and stoned. I mean, they look drunk. So, I had a woman right here who was in a car wreck here in my office, and she put it on her back and she started backpedaling and sat in the chair. She goes, "I'm seeing like double vision." I'm like, turn it down a little bit. So it can do that, but it's doing that because, and that's been measured, by the way, Stephanie, that's been measured, that endorphins in the blood can go up to 5 to 10x quickly. And the cytokines, measuring the pain, can go down super fast. That's been published as well, where the medical community said that's impossible. Cytokines cannot drop that fast. Impossible, impossible, impossible. They did the test kit, impossible. Who ran this data? And this is at a conference. And the answer was the #1 guy in the world for cytokines. And the whole audience went, okay, the data is correct. Now, you can't explain how it possibly did that, because every other intervention takes weeks or months to move that needle, where this didn't. So anyway, that is a warning. Anything metal like stents, knee replacements, hip replacements, all that's fine, because your body is already in an electrical environment. It's only the risk of having a machine like a pacemaker. But that's the official answer you have to give to everybody.
Okay.
The reality, I'll throw it out there real quick, is this is 9 Gauss. That's the energy level of how much magnetic field. An MRI is 40 to 50,000 Gauss. Okay, it's monstrous. For years, you could never have an MRI if you had a pacemaker, right?
Right.
And then they went, well, we don't look inside you with this MRI, you're probably going to die. So you want to take a chance? And so it's pretty common now for people with pacemakers to get MRIs. To my knowledge, it's never killed anyone with a pacemaker. There is one person that I know of died of an MRI. It's the only one I've heard of, where a tank, I think it was an oxygen tank, wasn't tied down, and it flew across the room because the magnetic field was so strong to hit her. But yeah, that's the only MRI fatality I know of. But yeah, there's tons and tons of those. So I don't even know what you asked me now, because I'm babbling. Would you?
I just so when you use this, is it because I'm getting pictures of people like walking around, going to the grocery store. You can do anything you want to do, just stick it in your pocket. As long as you don't lose it, you're okay, right?
You're okay. Just, you want it, the back of it, to be as close to your body as you can. It does not have to be against the skin, but if you got a gigantic puffy ski jacket, it's probably not going to work as well. And it can be anywhere on your body with the lanyard, the pocket. If it's pain, arthritis, neck pain, back pain, it does help a little more to put it closer, which makes some sense. You got more focal energy, right? Put it near your wrist, or the smaller your back, right? If you just sit here in the chair for back pain, which is probably one of the most common pains, back pain, is just slide it between your pants and your underwear. and just let it sit there. It sounds like it'd be uncomfortable, but it's not. The way your back actually arches for most people, it kind of feels comfortable sitting in the chair. You even forget it's kind of there. But now you can pretty much do anything with it. There's no restriction there.
And what about patients who have suffered from traumatic brain injuries?
Because we're patients, I don't have any. So customers.
That's right. Customers. That's right. Customers.
You're the doctor. So
that's right. No, I'm not the medical doctor. So right. So if people have suffered from traumatic brain injuries.
So the brain balancing protocol that's on there originally was called concussion, but it does so many other things. I renamed it brain balancing. It's actually a catch-all that the doctors will just kind of throw in at the end if they're in a clinical environment. It's like, yeah, I don't really, I'm going to throw this one in too because it seems to do some magic, right? It's like makes Tourette's go away for some reason. People are going to think I'm making this story up. This is the guy's tone of voice that called me. He's probably 80 years old. He goes, Mark, we used your little gadget on my wife. She has dementia and she had not been able to speak for months. Now she can make a complete sentence and she's so happy people can understand her. I'm like, dude, that is really your energy level of explaining that your wife can now talk. He goes, do you not want her to talk? It's like, that was it. I wasn't over exaggerating it. That's what I thought the guy was going to tell me he's dying or something, right? And it's like, my wife can now talk and dementia. I'm like, what did he just say? Like, are you kidding me? So, I mean, that's some really cool.
Maybe the problem is that she's going to be talking more to him, and
yeah,
he's got peace and quiet.
That's what I meant. I go, did you not want her to be able to talk? I mean, how are you that depressed about it? It's like, oh, so, yeah. So, to answer your question, is the brain balancing one does a whole bunch of interesting things. Magic. There's some magic in there. I don't know, but that's. And again, it can't. If your body doesn't need the frequency and the energy, it just doesn't use it because it's resonance.
That was going to be my next question. What does the body do with the energy if it doesn't need it?
It goes right through you.
Okay.
It doesn't absorb it. And it's one of the theories actually is if you had too high of energy, you don't want it to. I'm going to get into some real technical stuff, so I'll skip it. It's about interstitial fluid and how it works on the membrane, but let's skip that part because that's a lot of guessing that nobody can prove, but it's trying to figure it out because here's what the data looks like it's probably doing, but we'll skip that part.
Okay.
Because again, I'm a rock star. I'm getting way too far, and anyone that's an MD is going to attack me. Is like, he doesn't know what he's talking about right there. And like, you're right, I don't. So I'm going to stop.
So we know that the people should keep a diary because it's amazing how forgetful you get when you start getting better. Okay. I had a basal skull fracture and it was amazing how much you would forget when you're getting better. And luckily I kept a diary so that I could see the magic and that was happening too. So when you talk about this to your patrons who buy this, okay.
The other P.
I'm sorry.
The other P.
Right. That's the other P, the patrons who buy this.
Right.
How do you first introduce it or do they find you?
They find me.
Okay.
Yeah, for the most part, they're going to find me on a Facebook or a Google ad or somebody, or the goal, right, is to get to the tipping point where the most powerful marketing in the world, because I teach this class too. I'm the only engineer in the world teaching word of mouth marketing, but word of mouth marketing, probably. Word of mouth marketing is the most powerful marketing, most affordable thing in the world. So if you can get to the tipping point where everyone else is selling it for you, and I'm not there yet. My wife said several months ago, with all the Facebook haters she goes, when you get to the point that people start fighting back for you, then something's happening. And that happened about 6 months ago, that people will step in and go, Steve, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. We own 3 of them and we're getting great results, blah, blah. Right? And then there's somebody else yelling at them, right? And it's like, okay, good. I don't have to block that guy yet. It's like, there's some haters out there. Whew. But yeah, so that's usually how most people find out about it. Or I'm making a lot of noise, Stephanie. I'm spending a lot of money, right? Is Facebook, Google ads. I'm putting out videos constantly. I'm trying to get the word out there. So yeah, it's a lot of marketing noise, and we just started running radio ads a couple of weeks ago across the country. So yeah, just classic marketing and social media marketing.
So how do people find you when they're looking for this or looking for something? So what's the website?
So the websites, and we're going to send them to a special page for your listeners. Okay. So it's Resona, RESONA.health. There's no .com in there. Resona.health/Dr. Stephanie without the period after the DR. So if they go there, it sells for $3.99. We'll give your listeners $150 off. Just go to that landing page, and they can find it there. There's a learn more button that the listeners can go as much a deep dive as they want, from starting with very simple. I have a 20-minute infomercial on the website. I've got a book, I got the research. You can dig in. You can go to PubMed, type in PEMF, and you're going to get lost for 8 months of thousands of papers that have been published. NASA, by the way, when anyone goes, it's woo-woo, NASA's been using this for 50 years because for many things, but for wound healing, think about that. When you cut yourself on the space station, it doesn't heal fast in microgravity or no gravity.
Right. In no gravity, it doesn't. Right.
And long duration flights, we can never get to Mars because of bone density reduction and stuff. You got to have ways to increase that. So NASA's spent hundreds of millions of dollars on researching it. But to answer your question, go to that webpage. They can go on all the deep dive they want to or not, and give it a try and see if it works.
Well, I want to thank you for this information. I think it's incredibly interesting and useful because I do believe a lot in frequencies. I do a lot of meditation, so there's frequencies you even meditate to. And when I was, recovering from the basal skull fracture, I depended upon meditational frequencies to help me out. So that's why I says I'm really surprised that doctors are pushing back on this, because frequencies have been around for a long time. But I guess it's just that these frequencies are resolving some issues that were usually considered moneymakers to the medical society. So maybe that's why. So you're bumping heads with that. So, but that's
you're bumping heads with Big Pharma. You're bumping heads with the American Medical Association.
Right.
You know, it takes a long time. It's kind of like tort law in a court, right? It's 20 to 30 years before common acceptance even changes the law a little bit. But one last thing on resonance, just to make it more natural for people, is when you open your car door with the fob, why does it open your car door and nobody else's? Because it's resonating between your device and specific frequency. Mm-hmm. Why is your garage door open your garage, not the whole block? For that exact reason, right? So there's millions of resonance examples that you use every single day in your life. Besides Ella Fitzgerald or somebody breaking a glass with their voice, right? They're everywhere. Resonance is everywhere. When you change the channel with your remote on the TV, how to do that? It's resonating between the TV. So it's just a resonance thing, radio, right? When you talk, you take that and you're talking to the tower. How is that possible? It's resonating at that frequency. Why do I not hear like Barney Fife, where I used to have 500 people on the same line? Why do you not hear other voices anymore when you talk on your cell phone? Because you are at a specific frequency and some other trickery with zeros and ones, so that nobody else hears your conversation except the feds, but your neighbors hear it.
Yeah, and your neighbors, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So we're going to the end of today's podcast. So thank you again. And I would like to encourage everyone to look into this for yourself, because there are some things that we actually can do without actual medication. I know people are looking for new ways to resolve some problems that are common. So this would be a way, and just do your research, as I always say. But I do believe in frequencies and in frequency therapy, because I was helped by it too. So with that, I want to remind everyone here, as I always say, may this day offer you just what you need in each unfolding moment. Be inspired, and until further notice, I want you to celebrate everything, okay? What you think is good or bad, just celebrate it because you are alive to experience it.
That's awesome.
Do not go gently into that good night. I want you to find a hero worth dying for and take it. Be the person that you are waiting for and make today so awesome that yesterday gets jealous. Above all else, I want you to do it your way. And remember, I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor, and I tell you, with the right pair of shoes, I can accomplish anything. I want you guys to have a great day, and check out the link again, Resona.health/Dr. Stephanie, Stephanie, and you get that great discount of $150. So don't leave any money on the table, okay? So you guys have a great day and have a great night. Bye now.
Life's too short to drink cheap champagne, so I decided to buy me a better brand to taste with my strawberry